It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Cowboys. Locked On Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. And joining me today, as always, is my Landon McCool. You can check him out on Twitter at McCoolBCB. You can also listen to him on the Best Coast Boys podcast. Landon, what's going on, sir?
Not much. Just coming back from a nice little fourth weekend. I hope you had a good one too.
Yeah.
We bust pools and everybody got together and tried to stay cool in the water and had hot dogs.
Bone, chicken wings,
No. We had chicken wings with bone in them. I made sure to take pictures and send them to you so you would know how delicious they were.
Sure.
It was a great time. I had a great fourth. I hope you did too. I hope everyone is listening and had a great fourth as well.
Yes, absolutely. Before the fourth, though, actually, Landon, we had a little bit of a Friday news dump from the NFL. We're not going to get into why we had a news dump, Washington, but the NFL announced that the HBO's Hard Knocks series will focus on the Dallas Cowboys this year. The Cowboys were one of 5 teams that were eligible. And before we talk about this, the Cowboys can't say no to Hard Knocks. Yeah. I think a lot of people are wondering, well, why didn't the Cowboys just say no? Why didn't they just focus on, the upcoming season? They didn't have a choice, right? If the NFL chooses you, they choose you. And the Cowboys appear to be the Cowboys are the team that they have chosen. What was your initial reaction when you heard that the Cowboys will be on Hard Knocks?
That Hard Knocks can't quit the Cowboys. It's like this is now the third time they've done this, and the Cowboys have had an all or nothing, which they weren't obligated to do, but they did. Look, I think I was actually at the last training camp that Hard Knocks was at, and it was shocking to me how not different the practices were, how it had no effect. Like you could pick out, if you looked, you could find the camera in the group of cameras that had NFL Network written on it, but and I think, there's a lot of debate about it. There's a lot of talk about it right now because there's not a lot to talk about. And because the NFL, like you said, may be distracting from a not so good story about the culture of the Washington football team for the last existence of their team. So I think that's why that we're all talking about this. But I really don't know that it has a huge impact. And I've heard some really good points brought up by people that I respect that say that it's a distraction or that it's it's just an unnecessary additional like eyeballs on them. I would argue that maybe that's the case 10 or 15 years ago. But if you've been to a Cowboys training camp practice, or anything, there's cameras everywhere all the time. And if you're worried about, if you draft a bunch of competitive guys and you're worried about making sure that, they're not going to be distracted with this, just, have to mention to them that, if you get burned in practice, it's going to show up on Hard Knocks and you're going to get about 14 times as many eyes on it than you would in a Oxnard practice. So, I think it's always interesting from a consuming Cowboys content side. I don't know that it's going to have a huge impact on the football side, at least the way that everyone's talking about it.
Now, I do think there are 10 teams out there where if you put cameras in all of their practices and all their meetings, it could impact them. There are some teams in the NFL that are so sheltered from the media, and that I think it would be a distraction. I'll give you an example. Pittsburgh, right? I know I always bring up the Steelers in this podcast, but they're close to where I live. They have one practice this year, Landon, that is open to the public. One. They don't want any cameras in there. They don't like all the extra eyeballs. If you put the Hard Knocks crew in there, I think that would impact them in a big way. You said it for the Cowboys. There's a million cameras there anyways, right? From all the beat reporters that are there, from the national media. This is really it's nothing different or out of the usual for the Cowboys. It's not a big deal.
It's a drop of water in the ocean. It's like there's so many other cameras, so many other people reporting on the Cowboys constantly.
And I don't even remember who said it on Twitter, so I apologize if this was you. But they said if Hard Knocks is the reason why the Cowboys don't go to the playoffs or don't win a playoff game, then you're not good enough to win a Super Bowl anyway. So what does it matter, right? Exactly. Hard Knocks being at training camp is not going to impact the ultimate. It's just not. I
agree completely.
I mean, that's really all that we need to say about it, right? I just it's not a big deal. It's just it's really not.
I think, look, there's, as far as the football stuff, there's not much else to talk about. There's lots of fun angles to talk about what it's going to be like. But yeah, I mean, I'm not, throwing my pen at the fact that they're going to be on Hard Knocks. It shouldn't make or break this.
And let's be honest, the teams have a lot of say in what they can and can't show, right? Like if there's something that the Cowboys don't want to be shown, they can cut it, right? If there's certain players that they don't want in front of cameras all the time, and I can think of a couple that maybe shouldn't be on the camera a lot, they can do that too, right? So it's not a big deal. They're going to be just fine. We're going to talk a little bit more about Hard Knocks later in the show because I think some people have some interesting questions. But
definitely,
from a fan's perspective, how excited are you to watch these episodes? Because I mean, you don't learn a ton, but you get to learn about some of the background stories of some of these players. It's that part of it's really fun, right?
What I remember from the last time they did it was how cool it was to go to training camp practices, to see all the stuff happen live, and then to kind of get a glimpse a little bit behind the curtain as to what was happening that day of practice, or to see a conversation between two players that you witnessed but couldn't hear. Live at Oxnard, and then to a week later watch it on video and say, oh, that's what they were talking about. I thought they were talking about strategy. They were talking about whether the Young Thug album was any good. So, it's that kind of thing. It's just fun peek behind the curtains, really.
Yeah, my favorite part is like when we get the stories of these guys, like either moving into their apartments. Or I can remember the early one with Pete Hunter going to McDonald's. He was asking for a fish sandwich or a fish dinner, and they didn't have it. And he was all upset. I mean, those are the kind of things that I look forward to because the actual football stuff on the field, we don't get a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, it's a humanity piece, more than anything. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, we're not going to get them talking about strategy or personnel, and that's not going to happen. But it's the stories is why we like it so much. All right, let's take a quick break so I can tell you guys about Bet Online, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Baseball season is in full swing, and you can track all the action on Bet Online. Before the next pitch, head over to Bet Online on your laptop or mobile device and check out all the great sporting news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore as teams prep for their runs to the playoffs. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. All right, Landon, we have some other Cowboys news that we have to talk about that I believe broke on Wednesday or Thursday after our final show. The Cowboys were actually they were docked in OTA practice. The team was fined $100,000. Mike McCarthy was fined $50,000 for, I believe it was inappropriate OTA, some kind of dealings, right? Something that happened at practice that wasn't supposed to happen.
It sounds like they were taking some of the video that the NFL obtained, which is against the rules in OTA practices. Players shouldn't be, or technically aren't allowed to take other players to the ground during, one-on-ones with wide receivers and DBs. Apparently there was something with the offensive interior line and defensive interior line where there were practice reps that were, causing players to get on the ground, which is against the rules.
That's funny that you heard that because I didn't hear that actually.
I'm trying to remember where I think I may have heard that from Brian Broaddus, if I'm not mistaken, from 105.3. And I apologize if I didn't get that source right, but I did hear those words from somebody. So please double check and add me if I got that wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's what sounds like the violation was.
It's just funny that you said that because I heard differently. I heard that it was, you remember that awesome CeeDee Lamb catch that he made against Anthony Brown? It was all over Twitter for 2 days. I heard that was the reason why they got the practice.
Okay, so I don't know that those are mutually exclusive.
No, they probably aren't.
I wouldn't be surprised if that opened the door, because I think what happened is that, again, I think it was Brian Broaddus. The way they made it sound like is that the NFL had video obtained video that included interior, but they did mention both wide receiver and DB contact and interior offensive line, defensive line. So I wonder if seeing the video prompted them to get some more practice video and examine everything, and then that's what they saw. But they weren't the only team. It sounds like San Francisco got a similar kind of fine that the Cowboys got, and Jacksonville got a worse situation. They got I think a $200,000 fine. I think it was basically double everything what the Cowboys got. Well, so.
I can tell you what happened in Jacksonville because I actually heard that story as well. The very first practice, they were doing the Oklahoma drill with the NFL there.
What are you doing? The Urban Meyer experiment is going to be a disaster.
And he didn't even care. They did it right in front of the NFL personnel. It was fun. But
wow,
it's an OTA practice.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, for the Cowboys losing one next year, it's not a big deal. They typically cancel one of these practices anyways. They canceled a mini camp practice this year. It's not a big deal at all. The fine is pretty insignificant. It's a slap on the wrist. And frankly, I kind of love that they were cheating in OTAs, right? Like they're trying to get some extra contact. They're trying to be competitive. I'm fine with it, right?
There's a difference between trying and like going a little bit extra hard on OTA and then setting up an Oklahoma drill on day one of OTAs. That's just blatantly bad. That's just like.
But it's also, I would expect nothing less from Urban Meyer. Just putting it out there.
You shouldn't be doing Oklahoma drills in full padded training camps. I don't know what is going on in Jacksonville. Duval, I guess. I don't know, man. Yeah.
All right, let's get to some Twitter questions, Landon. This first one comes from Mark. Who's going to be the surprise star of Hard Knocks this year?
It's going to be some weird offensive lineman that we don't know very well, right? That's got like some kind of crazy personality, like Connor
McGovern being super smart.
Connor McGovern's like some incredible online video game player or something, or like something where they have some kind of like special skill that we're just completely oblivious to. That will be that'll vault them to stardom. So it's always tough to kind of guess that kind of thing because they try to make obscure people. I mean, like it says surprise star, so I'm not going to say someone like Boss Man Fat who could potentially because he's a hip hop artist and he's a rookie. They're gonna talk about him. It's the surprise part is it's what makes this difficult. So I think it's going to have to be, like I said, some obscure down roster offensive or defensive lineman that we just don't know very much about personally that has some kind of interesting personality trait that we're unaware of.
So who is going to be the star? Like if you were HBO, right, and you are trying to set up to have this be the best season yet, who are the couple guys that you want to be doing interviews every day?
Well, Dak. I mean, obviously.
But will Dak do it? I don't know if Dak will do it.
No, but I guarantee you there will be a storyline about his ankle and about the injury and
There will be, but I'm saying how they always have. They have a couple of guys that sit down in front of the cameras after practice or whatever. I don't know if that's going to be Dak.
I guarantee you that Parsons is going to be heavily featured. I guarantee you that there'll definitely be multiple segments about Micah Parsons playing chess with Amari Cooper. Yes. Who else? Marcus Lawrence. I think Marcus Lawrence is a guy that I would not at all be surprised if.
I just don't know if they. I mean, this sounds bad, but do they have a lot of really interesting personalities on this team? Like, that doesn't mean they have bad football players, but like the receivers, right? Amari Cooper's quiet. Michael Gallup's one of them. I could see like Donovan Wilson or Trevon Diggs, one of those guys being somebody that they love. And then Jalen.
Jalen. I mean, Jalen's going to be all over this thing. It's so clearly obvious. I mean, he may as well be the star on the VHS cover for this at the Blockbuster that you're going to rent this episode. I like Randy Gregory. I mean, I think you could do a great section on a redemption story for Randy Gregory. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was heavily involved. Because he's also so personable too. He's great in front of the camera. Bones Fossil. I mean, just because he's so unique. Before. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So maybe they. I mean, McCarthy. I mean, I think McCarthy. He's not like a super personality guy, but he's interesting enough that I think they'll probably focus on him, and he's a name. So there's lots of names, but you're right. There's no TO. There's no malcontent or could be a potential malcontent like that.
There's even no like Deion Cricket Anderson. Remember Deion Anderson from the 2008 one?
Well, but see, maybe there is, and we don't know because we didn't really know.
Why I like it.
Yeah, we didn't really know about cricket until we saw video of him eating crickets. So
what I really mean, there's no T.O., there's no Martellus Bennett, there's nobody like that on this team. I don't think. Or we don't know yet.
Yeah, that we don't know. There certainly isn't a big name star that's like that. Let's put it that way. I think we may discover there are some interesting characters that we just have yet to discover.
I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
It will be fun.
You guys can make sure you tune into Locked On Cowboys after every episode. We'll make sure that we do some content for you guys. It'll be a lot of fun. Let's take one more quick break so I can tell you guys about Built Bar. It's the absolute best tasting protein bar out there. It's hard to even explain it. It's real chocolate with amazing flavors. It's just a great combination. The Washington football team outscored the Dallas Cowboys 66-19 in their 2 matchups last year. Are we convinced that Dak's return, hiring Dan Quinn, and are we enough to beat that team twice this season?
Let's go ahead and take out the hiring Quinn and our free agent draft part of it and say that, yes, Dak's return is enough to make me feel confident that we can beat them twice.
Because he basically did it every other time he played them, right?
Yep, exactly.
Well, again, the quarterback differential is so big. And then on top of that, a lot of games were closer than you think early on, but they got to be blowouts at the end because the quarterback play was so bad, right?
They had to try crazy things to get to score points, and that led to, more problems and more scoring. And
in the Thanksgiving game, I believe it was 17-17, at halftime or after halftime, and then it got away from him because the offense was horrible, right? So, bringing in Dak and being able to score 30 points a game is certainly going to be easier. So I know a lot of people are worried about Washington. I know there's this big media section of people out there that believe Washington is the team to beat in the division. I hope I'm not being biased, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to ignore the quarterback differential. I mean, this guy pointed out points differential, which is interesting, but and beyond the fact that Dak was also not the only person who was injured and missing in those games as well. I just think that, quarterback makes all the difference in this league. It's clearly the major dividing line between haves and have-nots in the league. Washington has got one of the best assembled defenses in the league. There's no doubt about that. Definitely the best assembled defense in this division. But no one in this division comes close to Dak as a quarterback. It's as simple as that. And that's the most important thing, the most important measurement of your roster, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's hard for me to get behind, kind of changing my thought process on how games are won in the NFL to give enough respect to Washington to make them think that they are, the foregone conclusion as the division winners in the NFC East. I think that I understand what happened last year. I think we all agree that, or maybe we don't all agree that last year was an unusual year that probably shouldn't be counted as a sample size. I will still. I mean, look, I've seen their roster. I've seen our roster. I'll take our roster with Dak Prescott against Fitzmagic
and the defense.
Eight times in 7 days. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. All right, we have just a few minutes left. Let's get a little bit crazy and get to some weird questions because we've got some serious shows coming up later this week. But this first one from Zach, with the NFL announcing that you can wear some alternate helmets in 2022, what would be some jerseys you would like to see the Cowboys wear more often?
More often implies that they've worn them before, right? So I couldn't say all seafoam like right now.
I forgot I'm asking the wrong person this question.
Yeah, I mean, this is a loaded question. All kidding aside, though, I do really love those the white helmet with the solid blue stars, the Thanksgiving throwbacks. Those are really, really cool. So I definitely would love to see some more of those.
Give me the 94 jerseys with the huge stars and the shoulder pads. Those are some of my favorites ever.
Yeah, I think those are good too. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them try color rush uniform. I mean, just to see something new.
I would love an all white uniform.
But I mean, I'm all for kind of seeing a mix and match of some of the uniforms and new color combinations, that sort of thing.
All right, I agree. I think all white with the big blue star in the helmet would be really cool. Maybe we'll eventually see them go to like an all blue jersey, something like that. We'll see. All right, this one, Landon, really, really crazy, off the wall, but I think you're gonna like it.
Oh, no.
From Mike. If a zombie apocalypse broke out, which 5 Cowboys are you choosing to be on your zombie death squad? All time. These are all-time Cowboys.
Oh, it's all-time Cowboys.
All time.
Come on, man. All right. Let's go Larry Allen, Charles Haley. Let's say Hollywood Henderson.
He chose Jason Witten, by the way, and that's an awful pick because you want somebody that can run away from the zombies. That's a bad one.
You're so bad. So bad. So I got 3. I got Hollywood Henderson, Charles Haley, and Larry Allen.
Hollywood's a very good one for reasons we're not going to talk about.
That's right. I will go with T.O.
Marion Barber?
Marion Barber would be good. Yeah. Okay, I'll go with those 5. I think.
Oh man, I don't know if I can differ too much. I think Marion Barber has to be on there. What about a quarterback? Do we need somebody that can lead us?
No,
Quincy.
No, no. We don't. It's survive. You know, we don't. Need, we don't need a leader. We need people who can bash soft zombie heads.
So not Quincy. You're probably Dak is a good one. Let's go with Dak. I feel like he might be. Yeah. Or Rogers a good one. That's we have a captain on our team. I would like that one.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other ones we need to mention?
I mean, just like the most brutal, guys who Mark Tuinei or Eric Williams.
Eric. Yeah, Eric Williams would be
Williams
great.
Would be really good.
Larry Allen and Eric Williams together again. I would sign me up.
The Manster would be. I mean, he's
White
the monster. Yeah. Danny White.
Randy White.
Oh, Randy White. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. Randy White. Yeah.
That's good. I'm good with those.
Those are all good. Those are all good names to have, I think.
It's what we talk about on July 6th with football still 2-3 weeks away. It's a struggle.
Whatever we can, right?
Yeah, that is it for today's show. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, you can download and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Continue to follow us on YouTube. You can check us out on Twitter at Locked On Cowboys. You can follow Landon at McCoolBCB. I'm at Marcus_Mo.